I've had my personal SIM card in the new iPhone 11 for the last couple of weeks or so. Been using it a lot. But before we begin this review, let's see a checklist of certain things about the new lineup of iPhones this year. Still has a wide notch. Check. Still has a lightning port. Check. New design and innovation. And nope. Still expensive AF. Check. Alright, so with those things out of the way, let's get into all the good stuff about the iPhone 11. So the iPhone 11 follows the same language of last year's iPhone XR, not just in terms of price point but also in base design. The two are pretty much identical on the surface with just a couple of exceptions. Aside from a new set of colors that includes my personal favorite mint green, it also gets a brand new square-shaped camera module. Say what you will about it aesthetically, and yes, it does feel stolen from the design of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, but I'm actually really happy that the new lineup of iPhones adds an additional lens to the back of each model. But yeah, back to the note of the 11 being just like the XR, it still has a big notch on the top portion of the screen and all the buttons and ports are in the same place. Power button and SIM card slot on the right side, volume buttons and mute switch on the left, lightning port at the bottom. Even the physical dimensions stay the same down to the millimeter. It's still 8.3 millimeters thick despite having a slightly bigger battery capacity than the XR, which is actually pretty good. Another thing that hasn't changed since the XR is the display panel. We still have the same 6.1-inch Liquid Retina IPS screen with a resolution of 1792 by 828. And yes, your initial reaction might be to react with disappointment that it isn't a higher resolution screen this time around. And I mean, you wouldn't be completely wrong to feel that. Yes, we could say, oh, it's because it's Apple's intention to keep it low resolution because the XR and now the 11 are cheaper and more focused on battery life. But is it? Does Apple really not have the technological prowess to install a full HD IPS screen that in the settings include an option to go back down to a lower resolution to save battery? It's far from a foreign concept, and other manufacturers, Samsung for example, have been doing this for years. In any case, same with my experience with the XR, the iPhone 11's slightly above 720p display actually isn't bad for day-to-day usage. You'll still be able to watch videos, look at photos, and read text just fine. It displays colors pretty nicely, brightness is pretty good, but if you are used to a 1080p display or above, you will start to notice it when you watch YouTube or Netflix in full screen. It's just noticeably not as sharp, but not too much that it'll bother you. For audio, we still have the same stereo type of setup that uses both the downward firing loudspeakers plus the earpiece speaker, which makes for a nice immersive sound that doesn't immediately get cut off when you decide to hold your phone in landscape orientation. The overall sound leans more towards the mids, so you get nice clarity in vocals. At higher volumes, the highs can get clipped, which attests to the overall loudness of the speakers, and there is actually some depth in there. Bass, while not super punchy, is present. Now for something that has changed since last year, the cameras. The rear now has two 12-megapixel shooters, one main and one ultra-wide. For selfies, we now have a 12-megapixel shooter with a wider field of view. The software also has a few notable improvements. Finally, a dedicated night mode, the ability to record selfie videos in 4K at 60 frames per second, as well as slow-motion selfies. There's also an upcoming feature called Deep Fusion, which takes advantage of the new A13 chip's neural engine to further process each pixel to sharpen details and reduce noise. It's similar to how the Visual Core chip works on Google Pixel phones. However, it won't be a part of this review since it hasn't officially rolled out, and at the time of shooting this video, it's only available on the iOS 13.2 beta. Even so, the iPhone 11's vanilla camera quality is still superb. Like any smartphone camera, it shines most in situations with good natural lighting. It definitely handles soft lighting the best, especially when taking photos of people. As opposed to phones from Asian manufacturers, Apple's color science tends to lean towards more natural tones, which I personally find to be more pleasant. The same goes for overall contrast. It's lacking compared to what we might be used to, but then again, having photos with flatter colors and less contrast allows for more flexibility in post. Dynamic range is also excellent, and noise is kept at a minimum. This is still the case for photos shot in dim lighting or even almost no lighting. However, using night mode definitely makes photos a lot better. Exposure is on point, colors pop a little bit more, and noise is reduced even further. The interface is also quite intuitive. It pops up on screen when the camera detects a dark scene, and you can adjust how long the shot will expose. And the best part about it is, it can see in the dark. But not only that, just look at how clean the image is. It did take around 10 seconds of exposure to get this shot, but look, the color of the house is pretty accurate, the trees are green, and it doesn't look blurry. Aside from the software being able to clean it up, there's definitely some stabilization magic going on here as this shot was taken handheld. Apple did take a long time to get their own night mode, but now that they have it, I can say they 100% did it right. The portrait mode is also new and improved, as it doesn't just rely on face detection anymore. The algorithm is now able to detect whatever subject it is you're trying to shoot, along with you physically tapping on screen what you want to focus. So for pet owners out there like me, this is definitely a treat. More portraits of good boys. Video is still great. You get 4K at 60 FPS for both the front and rear cameras. You can switch between the main and ultra-wide rear lenses during recording, and the front camera now has slow motion up to 120 FPS, which I'm not sure how this will be useful, but you can do things like this. So yeah, the camera. It's not super flashy with its specs or with the features within the camera app like with other brands like Huawei or Samsung, but it's just so simple to use, you get natural looking photos, and I hate to put it this way, but it just works. Naturally, the new lineup of iPhones is powered by a new chip, the A13 Bionic. There's just not much to say about it other than it's the most powerful Apple smartphone chip to date. And paired with iOS 13, it's just a force to be reckoned with. I think these benchmark results speak for themselves. Naturally, the iPhone 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max have higher scores than these, but the Antutu score alone is way higher than on any Android smartphone we've tested so far. Oh, and speaking of RAM, the 11 actually now has 4GB, 1GB more than the 10R. So aside from all the horsepower from the CPU, you'll have a little bit more RAM to help with multitasking workloads and such. You can throw anything at this guy and it can handle it without flinching. For battery, it's got a 3110 mAh cell, which is only slightly bigger than the 10R's battery, but even the 10R had some of the best battery life from an iPhone in years. So even a slight boost, I consider pretty good. It's definitely enough to last more than a whole day of moderate usage. You can maybe even stretch it to 2 days if you don't put it through a lot. What's kind of a bummer though is that you still have to buy the Apple fast charger separately if you bought the 11, whereas it's included in the box for the 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max. Now, one interesting thing that Apple quietly introduced with the new iPhone 11 series is the new U1 chip, which uses UWB or ultra-wideband technology. An easy way of putting it is that it's quite similar to the Bluetooth Low Energy technology that Samsung uses in the S Pen for the Galaxy Note series, but better. This basically gives the phone spatial awareness. So an interesting application of this is, let's say I want to airdrop a file to another iPhone. If I were to literally physically point my iPhone 11 at the intended iPhone recipient, then this iPhone would appear on the top of my airdrop list. Pretty cool. And there are other potential applications for this technology. Apple is the first manufacturer to include UWB in one of their phones, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the industry adopts this. So at this point, I find myself not needing to say much anymore. I think those of you who are watching this video would just want an answer. Should I buy this thing or not? Luckily, I come prepared with some insight. So the iPhone 11's MSRP starts at $699 US, and at the time of shooting this video, we don't have pricing for the Philippines just yet. But if I were to take a guess, it's probably gonna be somewhere around the 40 to 50,000 peso price range to start. Now there's two ways this could go. Either you're upgrading from an older iPhone or you're switching from Android. Let's tackle the first one. I have this handy presentation made to help you guys out. So if you're considering the iPhone 11 and your current phone is an iPhone 10, iPhone 10R, iPhone 10s, or 10s Max, it's probably not the wisest decision. I mean, for 3 out of these 4 phones, it's going to be a downgrade. And if you're coming from the 10R, the only significant change you're going to get is a new set of cameras. So for this demographic, you guys get an upgrade viability score of 2 out of 11. Now, if you're coming from an iPhone 8, or iPhone 8 Plus, you're going to be significantly upgrading your cameras, your battery life. You get the new iPhone design. It's a pretty decent upgrade. But I do believe that you iPhone 8 and 8 Plus users out there could probably get a little bit more mileage out of your phones. Maybe wait till next year before you upgrade. But I still give it an upgrade viability score of 8 out of 11. You can probably get more out of your phones, but still viable to get an 11. Now, if you're currently the owner of an iPhone 7 and older, and you're looking to upgrade to the iPhone 11, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an 11 over 11 to get yourself an iPhone 11. Aside from the obvious, like the cameras and the new design, you guys are missing out on a lot of features, like Face ID, wireless charging, fast charging, Animoji if you're into that. So if you guys think it's time to upgrade, then I'm gonna say you're probably right. The iPhone 11 is a solid choice for you. Alright, so back to the second one. Either this is going to be your first iPhone or you're switching from Android. If you are coming from Android, then I'm just going to assume that you've made the decision that you're ready to get used to iOS and leave behind whatever ecosystem you were on and jump straight into the garden of Apple. If you have made that choice, then I'll tell you, this phone right here is a decent entry point into the iPhone experience. It's not perfect, especially since you guys are used to faster paced design innovation from other manufacturers. You don't get an all-screen display or a smaller notch, you don't get crazy fast charging or a high-resolution display, but it's still a solid phone. Good battery life, great cameras, and when you compare it to the higher models, it's got a decent price point for this era of flagship phones that cost $1,000 and higher. Now for those of you who are still watching this video and want to know my personal opinion, like if I were to get one of these for myself, I'm probably gonna wait for next year's iPhones. And the reasons why? Actually, I told you already at the beginning of this video. Alright, so that wraps up our full review of the iPhone 11. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and be sure to visit YugaTech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. This has been Joey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.